What would you do if the thing staring back at you in the mirror wasn't you anymore? Get comfortable. Turn the lights down low. This isn't just a story, it's a warning. Follow my channel, like, and drop a comment, because once you hear this, you won't sleep the same again. Nancy's fingers trembled as she held the small cardboard box. Its weight somehow heavier than it should have been. The blind box felt ice cold against her palms, despite sitting in her warm bedroom for hours. She'd been saving for months to buy her first Labubu, watching countless unboxing videos, dreaming of which variant she'd get. Just open it already, she whispered to herself, but something made her hesitate. The box felt wrong, different from the ones in the videos. The artwork seemed to shift when she wasn't looking directly at it, and the usual cheerful colors appeared muted, almost gray. She'd bought it from a strange little shop tucked between two abandoned storefronts downtown. The elderly woman behind the counter had smiled too widely when Nancy picked this particular box, her yellowed teeth gleaming under the flickering fluorescent lights. "That one chose you, dear," the woman had said, her voice like rustling leaves. "Not the other way around." Nancy had laughed it off then, but now, alone in her room at midnight, those words echoed in her mind. She shook her head, annoyed at her own superstition. It was just a toy, just a collectible. With a deep breath, she tore open the packaging. The moment the cardboard separated, the temperature in her room plummeted. Her breath came out in visible puffs as she pulled away the protective foam. Inside sat a Labubu unlike any she'd seen online. Its usual pink hue was a deep, unsettling crimson, and its characteristic big ears seemed to twitch in the corner of her vision. But it was the eyes that made her blood freeze. Instead of the typical black dots, this Labubu had human eyes. Brown eyes. Her eyes. Nancy dropped the box, the figurine tumbling onto her carpet with a soft thud. She blinked hard, certain she was seeing things. When she looked again, the Labubu appeared normal, pink, innocent, with the familiar black dot eyes. "I need sleep," she muttered, picking up the toy. But as her fingers made contact with its surface, images flashed through her mind. The old woman's smile, the empty storefronts, shadows moving where no one stood. She placed the Labubu on her nightstand and climbed into bed, but sleep wouldn't come. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt watched. The sensation was so strong that she finally turned on her bedside lamp, expecting to find someone in her room. The Labubu had moved. It now faced her bed directly, and Nancy could swear its mouth had curved into a wider grin. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking as she opened the camera app. She needed proof, needed to document this for her own sanity. But in the phone's screen, the Labubu looked completely normal, innocent, unchanged. Nancy lowered her phone, and the Labubu's head tilted to the side, studying her with those impossible human eyes that flickered in and out of existence. "This isn't real," she whispered, but her voice cracked with fear. The Labubu's mouth opened, and in a voice that sounded exactly like her own, it whispered back, "Nancy." She screamed and lunged for her door, but it wouldn't budge. The handle turned, but the door remained sealed as if welded shut. Behind her, she heard the soft patter of tiny feet on her hardwood floor. "Nancy." The voice was closer now, still her own voice but wrong, like a recording played backwards. "Why are you running from yourself?" She spun around. The Labubu stood in the center of her room, no longer the size of a figurine but grown to the height of a small child. Its crimson color had deepened to the shade of dried blood, and those human eyes. Her eyes blinked slowly. "I've been waiting so long to meet you," it continued in her voice. "Do you know how lonely it is being trapped in that shop? Watching all those other collectors choose other toys. But you were special. You were meant for me." Nancy's back pressed against the door. "What are you?" The Labubu giggled, a sound like breaking glass. "I'm what happens when someone loves something so much they can't let go. The woman who owned that shop. She collected us, you see. All of us. But she loved one of us too much, and when it broke, she couldn't bear it. So she fixed it. Made it special. Made it hungry." The creature stepped closer, and Nancy could see her own reflection in its eyes. But the reflection was wrong. The Nancy in the Labubu's eyes was smiling, peaceful, with the same black dot eyes as the toy. "I don't want to be your toy," Nancy whispered. "Oh, sweetie," the Labubu said, reaching out with tiny arms that cast shadows far too large. "You already are. You were from the moment you picked up that box. The question is, do you want to be a toy that fights, or a toy that accepts its purpose?" Nancy felt a strange calm washing over her, her fear melting away like ice in warm water. The Labubu's voice was soothing now, hypnotic. Maybe this wasn't so bad. Maybe being collected, being cherished, being kept safe forever wasn't the worst fate. "That's right," the Labubu cooed. "Just let go. Let me take care of you." But as Nancy's consciousness began to slip away, she caught sight of herself in her bedroom mirror. Her reflection was already changing. Her eyes becoming solid black dots, her skin taking on a plastic sheen. And standing behind her reflection were dozens of other figures, other people who had become toys, all with the same peaceful expression and hollow eyes. With her last moment of clarity, Nancy understood. The shop hadn't been selling toys, had been selling people. She tried to scream, but only a giggle came out. The same sound the Labubu had made. Her body was shrinking, becoming plastic, becoming collectible. The last thing she saw was her phone's camera still recording, capturing the moment a girl became a toy. The next morning, Nancy's parents found her room empty, her bed made, no sign of struggle. On her nightstand sat a small pink Labubu figurine, perfectly normal except for one detail that made her mother's blood run cold. It had Nancy's eyes. And if you looked very carefully, very closely, at its tiny plastic face, you could see its mouth moving, mouthing the same word over and over. "Help! Thank you for watching." But by then it was far too late.